From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 7, streaming now.
Thank you for joining us on the News at 7. I'm Amanda Starantino.
And I'm Mark Mullins. We're starting off on this cloudy evening by checking in with WRTV Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory. Kevin.
And Mark and Amanda, clouds with us all day, periodic showers, some fog at times. When it rains harder, the visibility improves. We've not had any heavy or moderate rain in the metro area for a little bit. That's the view looking from the Motor Speedway to downtown Indianapolis. Let's show you the visibility a little lower to the south, but it will ebb and flow as we go through the evening. Additional rainfall. Not just for tonight, but let's include tomorrow night into Wednesday, quarter to maybe 3/4 of an inch of rain. And it appears the best chance will be in the southern portion of the state for the heavier rain. There are the showers that have moved through the metro area. Another little batch with more moderate rainfall just to the southwest of Spencer, moving to the northeast. That'll move toward Bloomington, Lake Monroe, and through Bloomfield. The heavier rain, maybe that's robbing some of the moisture from us. See the line of showers and thunderstorms down in Kentucky. Well, we'll talk about what happens when we start staring at the thermometer later this week. It gets interesting. We'll talk about that coming up.
See you soon, Kevin. Thank you. The global count of coronavirus cases has passed 40 million. According to some health experts, the predicted fall surge is here. The United States is reporting nearly 70,000 new cases daily, the highest number since July. According to a Health and Human Services memo obtained by ABC News, a quarter of hospitals across the country say more than 80% of ICU beds are filled. The Indiana State Department of Health says about 38% of the state's ICU beds are available, but we know some counties are seeing much higher positivity rates than others, including Fountain, Kosciuszko, and Park. The state's 7-day positivity rate for all tests crept up to 6.5% for the week ending on October 12th. 1,589 new COVID cases were recorded yesterday. A total of 3,727 Hoosiers have died with COVID-19 since the pandemic began.
WRTV is working to find out how local hospitals are preparing for a possible influx of patients. Megan Sanctorum checked in with Franciscan St. Francis Health and IU Health to find out what they're seeing here locally.
It may be quiet outside of these two major hospitals in central Indiana, but inside, health leaders are hard at work. They're keeping a close eye on the number of COVID-19 cases and creating plans to make sure they can safely care for anyone who may need it.
Based on what we learned from the spring, when we sort of had this first surge, we were prepared at that time for an incredibly large volume of patients.
At IU Health's downtown campuses right now, they're not seeing an increase in COVID patients.
What we continue to do is watch the Department of Health's data around COVID-19, and throughout the state in the different counties, it is highly variable.
In fact, head a little south, and leaders at Franciscan Health say they are seeing more patients.
We have definitely seen an uptick. We were actually down to a pretty low level about 2 weeks ago. We've more than doubled since then, our inpatient.
But it's not all bad news. He says the number of people requiring a ventilator hasn't increased, and most patients are not getting as critically ill as they were earlier in the pandemic. But if that changes, they'll be ready.
Whether we need to cohort patients, dedicate specific units for the exclusive use of COVID. We've created a lot of extra rooms that have negative airflow capabilities. So I think we've certainly stockpiled more PPE to prepare for a surge.
IU Health also saying they're prepared.
What we're doing downtown on the Methodist Hospital and University Hospital campuses is looking at the spaces we have available and making sure we can convert them at any time to be whatever level of care or whatever type of space we need.
She says they've also looked at sourcing additional staffing. Both hospitals say they continue to learn more about the virus and the best way to treat COVID patients.
And we feel much more confident in our ability to know as things coming in, what to do, how to treat them, and how to handle them.
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, WRTV.
Well, the coronavirus crisis has caused many businesses to close their doors permanently. But as WRTV's Troy Washington shows us, one business owner has managed to open not one, but rather two businesses during this time.
Kayla Trammell is a registered nurse by trade, but her passion is skincare.
I had a vision and I told my husband and I wanted to run with it.
It just so happened that as her dream was picking up steam, the coronavirus crisis was also gaining momentum.
So from end of 2017 to beginning of 2020, it was just me. And then the beginning of 2020, I knew I was kind of ready to expand. And then February signed a lease, March got shut down. And then kind of from there, since then, when we opened in May of 2020, when we got the go-ahead from Governor Holcomb, it's kind of exploded.
And now she's hiring Hoosiers in the process. She started in Zionsville and just last week opened another Radiant Skin location in Danville.
So we opened up a second location, and I went from January being a one-woman team to now 9 of us.
She says the fact that people have to wear masks and the frequent Zoom calls has kept her business booming.
A lot of people come in and say, on Zoom calls, they look at themselves and they notice like, oh, I need to get that taken care of. Or, they'll have a mask on and start noticing from the eyes up, like coming in for Botox and stuff like that. So the mask and Zoom calls have made it busy too.
When she wasn't allowed to do in-person visits, she provided at-home kits, and that helped, but she attributes much of her success to loyal customers who have been really patient during this pandemic. Working for you, Troy Washington, WRTV.
Oh, by the way, October is National Women's Small Business Month. We have resources that could help you keep your business open online when you check out this story at WRTV.com.
A little more than 2 weeks until the election, and President Trump's campaign is working to raise money to keep up with the Biden campaign and Democratic groups. But Democrats are concerned the race could be closer than polls show. ABC's Karen Travers has more from Washington.
President Trump is trailing Joe Biden in national and some battleground state polls, and he's facing a cash crunch. But he's urging his campaign team to ignore the headlines and get to work. President Trump is on defense, campaigning hard to hold on to states like Arizona.
Hello, Prescott. Hello, Prescott. I better speak fast. This sun is hot.
The president this weekend openly speculating about the possibility he may not win.
If I lose, what do I do? I'm going to say I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know.
Since his return to the campaign trail after his COVID-19 diagnosis, the president has scheduled 13 rallies in 9 states. But 8 are states he won, some handily, in 2016. He even took a detour to fundraise in California Sunday. The Biden campaign and its allies are scheduled to outspend President Trump and his allies on TV by a 2-to-1 margin over the next 15 days. Sources tell ABC the Trump campaign is increasingly worried that the president's chances of winning North Carolina have all but evaporated. That's a state Team Trump heavily invested in and views as essential for the president's path to victory. But on a conference call Monday, President Trump trying to rally his campaign team.
We are going to win. We're in the best shape we've ever been in.
The president suggesting his return to the campaign trail after his COVID-19 diagnosis has given his campaign a boost.
We are going to win. I'm more excited today than I was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago I was in the hospital.
But there's been no evidence of a post-COVID bounce for the president. And with a flurry of reports detailing pessimism among his senior campaign aides about his re-election chances, President Trump is telling his campaign team it is, quote, BS and just made up. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
And tomorrow is the first of 2 debates between the 3 candidates running for governor of Indiana. It begins at 7, and you can watch at WRTV.com or our Facebook page. You can also watch on the WRTV app on your streaming device. And remember, early voting is underway across the state, and Thursday is the deadline to request an absentee ballot. You can find more deadlines, candidate profiles, and important information about casting your ballot right now at WRTV.com/election 2020.
Still ahead on the news at 7, could COVID-19 be considered a pre-existing condition? A Supreme Court decision could make the answer to that question vital for millions of Americans.
But first, hand washing is an essential part of fighting the coronavirus pandemic, and a Central Indiana woman's invention is helping provide this necessity to those who need it.
Welcome back. We've known since the beginning washing your hands with soap and water is an easy way to slow down the spread of coronavirus. Something that can make it even easier was thought up by a Hamilton County woman years ago. WRTV's Kelsey Anderson explains.
It's personal. It's a personal mission just to save lives.
Angie Washburn created the Portaire, a portable hand washing station, in 2017. The respiratory care practitioner became passionate about patient hand hygiene when a family member died after contracting a healthcare acquired infection.
These are infections that can be acquired when you're in the hospital and then complicate things for you. So it's additional illnesses.
She tells me some infections cannot be addressed with hand sanitizer alone.
You hear staff should wash their hands, but we don't hear a lot about patient hands. And so we're starting to look at patient hands as being those transmitters of disease and illness.
The device created to help patients wash their hands is now something a lot of people could utilize amid the pandemic.
So we're noticing a huge interest for those that serve the homeless population, for them to be able to have a way to wash their hands. Agriculture, we've started discussions with some of those. We've got farm workers who don't have a way to wash their hands when they're out harvesting by hand. And then healthcare, both home care, acute care, in those facilities.
She says now more than ever, we know the importance of hand hygiene, and this small kit can travel anywhere.
We're just on a mission to try to help people wash their hands on a regular basis and stay healthy.
Working for you, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Well, we have about 50 degrees right now with rain in the metro area. Wait till temperatures are about 30 degrees warmer, and you won't have to wait long. Story coming up.
Health insurance open enrollment is getting underway for millions of Americans. Along with an expected Supreme Court decision, it's raising questions about COVID-19 and whether it could be considered a pre-existing condition. Maya Rodriguez explains what's at stake and who is making those decisions.
The U.S. remains in the grip of the coronavirus pandemic, with 8 million cases and spiking in multiple states.
There are many people not taking this seriously and not playing their part.
Now there are concerns that getting COVID-19 could land you in the same category as someone with diabetes or high blood pressure, having a pre-existing condition.
This has flown under the radar to some extent.
Eric Schneider is with the Commonwealth Fund, which researches health policy. Because COVID-19 can have lingering effects on people who contract it, Schneider says there's a possibility it could be labeled as a pre-existing condition. So who decides that?
The pre-existing condition language really traces to the insurance industry. Really on a case-by-case basis, which diseases, which conditions will actually count.
That hasn't mattered lately because the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, prohibits health insurers from denying people coverage based on pre-existing conditions. But next month, a case before the Supreme Court could get Obamacare thrown out. If that happens, there is no official plan yet from either party to replace it, nor to protect people with pre-existing conditions.
If the Supreme Court undoes that solution, there will definitely be a need for a new solution.
How many could be affected? The Department of Health and Human Services says about 133 million people in the U.S. currently have a pre-existing condition. The Commonwealth Fund looked at how COVID-19 survivors would affect that number, excluding people who already had a pre-existing condition and anyone over the age of 65. Researchers found 3.4 million new people who recovered from the coronavirus could join the ranks of having a pre-existing condition. It's a number growing, they found, by 20,000 a day.
That number is also tied to how well we control the pandemic.
So far, no insurance company has indicated it will add COVID-19 as a potential pre-existing condition. But healthcare policy experts warn it could all come down to what the justices decide about the healthcare law in next month's case. In Washington, I'm Maya Rodriguez.
For many of us, it was the most beneficial rain we've had since July. For others, it was mid-August, but for all of us, it's been a long time. More rain in the state right now and more in the forecast. We'll talk more about that. Got to say, it was exciting. All smiles checking out the rain gauge this morning. If you have a rain gauge, there's been nothing but dust and a few leaves in it for quite a while. That changed. Last 24 hours in Indy, almost an inch of rain, but we're still 3 3/4 roughly below average since September 1st, clinging to above average rainfall though, or precipitation since the first of the year. As far as other rainfall amounts, just want to show you it was heavier south. Nashville almost 1.6 inches, Newcastle about 9/10. Lafayette, not much. And then Terre Haute, over an inch of rain. And as I mentioned, Indianapolis right at an inch. There, the rain showers across the metro area, Zionsville on up into southern Hamilton County, continuing to progress to the east. Another wave coming from, just Spencer to Bloomington, Ellettsville. That'll roll through Martinsville and head into Johnson County as well. Temperatures very slow to change, kind of locked in. You have to get drier air in here before the temperature will move. Once it's saturated, temperature pretty much sits where it's at. As we go through the overnight hours, the focus for the rain will shift to the south and east, and I think the heavier rain will continue to be along the Ohio River. Overnight, low temperatures warming up considerably. That will play a role in our high temperatures. 60 for the low temperature Wednesday. Look at this, 80 degrees Thursday. The warmer it feels Thursday, the cooler it will feel for the weekend. We start backing off a little bit Friday, but manage one more very mild day before a cold front comes through. Tomorrow's winds start out of the east-northeast and end up out of the south by tomorrow night. That's why our temperatures will stay so mild and will actually be peaking tomorrow night with these high temperatures, and you can see those climb through the day. As far as temperatures across all of central Indiana in the 50s, we'll quickly replace the 50s with temperatures at 70 Wednesday. Chance for showers mainly in the morning. Thursday's dry up to 80. Late in the day, Friday with the cold front, some rain, maybe a thunderstorm. 75 Friday, 56 for the low. Saturday, temperatures bounce back to around 60 with a better chance for rain as we get to early next week. That is a fall forecast. Well, part of it. That's summer. Back to you.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. With the holiday shopping season around the corner, some hackers are using a variety of methods to try to get your financial info. Tim Maniscalco with the Better Business Bureau tells us about some of the ways criminals might try to target your Amazon account.
What we're seeing now is that people are posing that they are from Amazon, and they're stating that there's something wrong with an order, or maybe that something has been placed on your credit card that was an erroneous order. And they're actually using phone numbers on their caller ID that look like legitimate phone numbers. In fact, they've even used the BBB as legitimate phone numbers. What they're trying to do is get your personal information, particularly your credit card information. So if somebody from Amazon calls you and says there's something amiss with your order, or that someone has placed an order on your credit card, something like that, be very, very careful before you give out any information, particularly your credit card information, because once again, these people are posing as people from Amazon. There's probably nothing wrong with your account or your credit card. They're just trying to get your personal information and your credit card information. And if you look on your caller ID, it might look like they're calling from a legitimate number. Once again, they've used BBB as a number. They've used also other legitimate companies and organizations like BBB to make it look like they're a legitimate organization. So just be on the lookout for that. Don't be giving out your credit card information to these people. Go back in, call Amazon themselves, or go to their website, see if something's going on. Probably nothing is going on with your Amazon account.
You can find out more info about this scam and how to keep your Amazon account safe at bbb.org. We'll be right back. Movie theater chains are looking for ways to make it through the pandemic after announcing it could run out of money by the end of the year. AMC Theaters is giving customers a chance to rent out their own screening rooms for $99. Many of those theaters remain empty or almost empty because of the pandemic. Movie fans can invite up to 20 friends and family members. Popcorn and other snacks will cost extra. Showing certain films will cost extra, pushing the rental up to $349.
All right, let's talk about what's now showing out your window, and it's some showers, as you can see, around the metro area and then down toward Bloomington. Temperatures become the story by Thursday. The highlight of the week, 80 will be the high. Enjoy that. Mark?
Beautiful evening in Greencastle. That's how we leave you here at 7 o'clock. We'll be back with you tonight for WRTV News at 11.